UAE to extend oil production cuts by over 140,000 barrels per day until 2024 end. US President Joe Biden signs debt ceiling bill that pulls US back from brink of unprecedented default. Indian American Ajay Banga assumes charge as World Bank president. UAE to host world's largest convention conference in 2025. Sri Lanka immersed in festivities of Posan Poya Day. In US, millions breathing hazardous air as smoke from Canadian wildfires cross borders. The maps before and after images reveal the scale of disaster with the collapse of Ukrainian dam. US and Saudi Arabia mending ties. Former Prime Minister of New Zealand receives second highest honor. Bangladesh records highest inflation rate in over a decade. The UAE announced that it will extend its voluntary oil output cut by 144,000 barrels per day until the end of 2024. This decision was made in accordance with the agreement reached at the 35th ministerial meeting of OPEC Plus held on 4th June. In a statement, the participating countries of OPEC and non-OPEC countries in the Declaration of Cooperation agreed to adjust the overall crude oil production level for these countries to 40.46 million barrels per day from January 1st, 2024 until December 31st, 2024. The statement also mentioned that the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee has given the authority to convene additional meeting or request a ministerial meeting of OPEC and non-OPEC countries if necessary to address market developments. The 36th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting is scheduled to take place on Sunday, November 26, 2023 in Vietnam. President Joe Biden has signed legislation that lifts the nation's debt ceiling, averting an economical, disastrous default on the federal government's debt. The signing of the Fiscal Responsibility Act suspends the debt limit to renewed borrowing and avoid a default that would have likely had damaging implications for the American and global economies. The bipartisan deal came after months of political wrangling. The Senate earlier this week passed the bill to raise the debt ceiling and cap government spending for the next 2 years. The country's debt currently stands at around $31 trillion. Republicans, who currently have majority in the House of Representatives, had refused to raise the debt ceiling unless Biden and the Democrats agree to federal spending cuts. The US Treasury Department had earlier warned that if debt ceiling was not raised beyond Monday, the US government would run out of money and default on its $31 trillion debt. Indian American Ajay Banga took over as the president of World Bank on Friday, making him the first person of color to head either of the two global financial institutions, the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. On 3rd May, the executive directors of the World Bank selected Banga, 63, as the 14th president of the World Bank for a 5-year term. In February, President Joe Biden announced that US would nominate Banga to lead the World Bank. Banga has become the first ever Indian American to head the World Bank. He replaces David Malpass, who announced his decision to step down in February. On Thursday, a media release said that Treasury Yellen met with Banga at the Treasury Department. During their engagement, Yellen warmly welcomed Banga's upcoming presidency and conveyed her strong desire for Treasury to continue close collaboration with him in building on the strong progress made so far on evolving multilateral development banks. The United Arab Emirates has won the bid to host 2025 World Conservation Congress of the International Union for Conservation of Nature IUCN. The WCC is the world's largest and most important gathering of conservationists, and it is expected to draw more than 10,000 delegates from over 160 countries. The UAE has a long history of environmental protection, and it is home to a number of important conservation initiatives, including Sheikh Zayed Desert Learning Center and Al Ain Oasis. The 2025 WCC will be held in Abu Dhabi from October 10 to 21, 2025. The event will be an opportunity for conservationists from around the world to come together and discuss the most pressing environmental challenges facing our planet. The WCC is also expected to produce a number of important resolutions and recommendations that will help to guide future conservation efforts. Sri Lanka is immersed in the festivities of Posan Poya Day on Saturday. The festival marks the arrival of Buddhism in the country over 2000 years ago and holds immense importance for the Buddhist community. Posan Poya Day stands as the second most significant Buddhist celebration in Sri Lanka following Vesak. Posan Poya Day, celebrated on Full Moon Day on June, commemorates the pivotal moment when Arahant Mahinda, the son of Emperor Ashoka, converted King Devasam Piyatissa to Buddhism. The main centers of celebration are the ancient monastic complexes, which attract large crowds of pilgrims. Bathed in white attire, devotees embark on a spiritual journey by climbing the steps to Mihindal Hill. Many pilgrims ascend to the summit of the rock where Arahant Mahinda delivered his profound sermons honoring the origins of Buddhism in Sri Lanka. The celebrations across the island feature mass religious observance and illuminations. Streets, homes, and public places are embellished with intricately designed paper lanterns and pandals depicting episodes from the Buddha's life. On 5th June 1783, the first sustained flight occurred as a hot air balloon and was launched in France by brothers Joseph and Jacques Montgolfier. Their 33-foot diameter globe aerostatic ascended about 6,000 feet. In September, they repeated the experiment for King Louis XVI, using a sheep, rooster, and duck as the balloon's passengers. On 9th June 1898, the British signed a 99-year lease for Hong Kong, located on the southeastern coast of China. Hong Kong, consisting of an area measuring 400 square miles, was administered as a British Crown colony until July 1, 1997, when its sovereignty reverted to the People's Republic of China. In US, millions are breathing hazardous air as smoke from Canadian wildfires cross borders. The Air Quality Index, a US Environmental Protection Agency metric for air pollution, exceeded a staggering 400 at times in New York City and Pennsylvania's Valley. A level of 50 or under is considered good, or anything over 300 is considered hazardous. Even healthy people are advised to curtail outdoor physical activity. Smoke from Canadian wildfires poured into US East Coast and Midwest, covering the capitals of both nations in an unhealthy haze, holding up flights at major airports, postponing Major League Baseball games, and prompting people to fish out the pandemic era face masks. Canadian officials asked other countries for additional help, fighting more than 400 blazes nationwide that already have displaced 20,000 people. Massive tons of unhealthy air extended as far as North Carolina and Indiana, affecting millions of people. The scale of floods caused by the destruction of a huge dam in the Russian controlled area of southern Ukraine on Tuesday is starting to become clear. Satellite images show how much water has already spread downriver from the Kakhovka Dam, although floodwaters may not yet have peaked in the city of Kherson, about 75 kilometers to the west. The dam is next to the city of Nova Kakhovka in the Kherson region and holds back a reservoir that is so huge locals calls it the Kakhovka Sea because you cannot see the opposite bank in certain places. Images from Nova Kakhovka on Tuesday showed buildings surrounded by floodwaters hours after the dam was destroyed. It is unclear when exactly the dam was first damaged or how it happened, but satellite images suggest its condition had deteriorated over a number of days. A road across the dam can be seen to be badly damaged from 2nd June, but there did not seem to be a change to the flow of water until 6th June, when the breach of the wall and collapse of the nearby buildings can be clearly seen. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken embarked on a crucial visit to Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, aiming to restore stability in the strained relationship between the two countries. The visit comes as the United States seeks to address deepening disagreements on key issues including Iran, regional security, and oil prices. During his stay in Riyadh, Blinken engaged in the meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the de facto ruler of the kingdom. The discussions revolved around the expansion of economic cooperation, particularly in clean energy and technology sectors, as detailed in the readout from the State Department. The Secretary of the State's visit included scheduled meetings with other high-ranking Saudi officials both in capital city and the coastal town of Jeddah. This marks the second recent high-level visit from Washington to Saudi Arabia, following the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan's trip on May 7th. The timing of Blinken's visit coincides with Saudi Arabia's recent commitment to further reduce oil production, a move that could add strain to an already troubled US-Saudi relationship. Concerns have mounted due to kingdom's human rights record and disputes regarding American policies on Iran. Former Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern received one of New Zealand's highest honours for her service leading the country through a mass shooting and coronavirus pandemic. Ardern received the Dame Grand Companionship, New Zealand's second highest honour, as part of the King Charles Birthday Honours. In New Zealand, royal honorees are typically chosen twice a year by the Prime Minister and signed off by Charles, the British King, who is also recognized as New Zealand's King. In a statement, Prime Minister of New Zealand said that she was being recognized for her service during some of the greatest challenges our country has faced in modern times. Bangladesh recorded its highest monthly inflation rate in over a decade as monthly inflation reached 9.94% in May. It is the highest inflation rate since 2010-11 when it was reported to be 10.11%. The latest data was released by the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics. The increase in inflation is attributed to the rise in food and non-food prices during this period. The average inflation for the period June 2022 to May 2023 has gone up to 8.84%, which is higher than the budgetary target of 5.6%. BBS has changed the base index for the calculation of inflation from 2005-6 to 2021-22 and changed its methodology for consumer price index following the latest 2020 CPI manual of the International Monetary Fund (IMF). Robert Francis Kennedy, also known by his initials RFK and by the nickname Bobby. He was an American politician and lawyer. He served as the 64th United States Attorney General from January 1961 to September 1964 and as a US Senator from New York from January 1964 until his assassination in June 1968 when he was running for Democratic presidential nomination. Like his brother John F. Kennedy and Ted Kennedy, he was a prominent member of Democratic Party and is viewed by some historians as an icon of modern American liberalism.